Good afternoon. My name is Mark Peralvis, and this is the first part in at least a 5-part series exploring critical race theory, racism, and problem solving at the Upper Grand District School Board. I tried to solve this problem, and well, it's a complicated problem to explain, so I'm breaking it down into multiple videos, and this is the first one, so welcome. Why am I looking at critical race theory? On June 16th, the Upper Grand District School Board held a special board meeting that was a presentation to the trustees. During that board meeting, they referenced critical race theory, and you can see a larger full meeting here. They deleted it. They deleted the original source. But lucky for everyone, I backed up the full source, the whole meeting, so you can see a better video of the whole meeting, and you can see that not one board trustee pushed back on any of the things that are said here, and that's very concerning. So I did try to solve this problem, but that's not what this video is about. Let's look at what is critical race theory and what is the Upper Grand District School Board saying about it and using it for. Here's the Upper Grand District School Board on June 16th about critical race theory. Here we go.
For the past years. And so what we want to do is make sure that we're grounding it in critical race theory. And so we'll be giving folks some training to make sure that that everyone understands what the language says. Briefly, what critical race theory was developed by lawyers, and what it says is that we understand that race is a social construct, and that the systems that we are working in presently in education, they were specifically talking about law, but it's the same application, that because the systems were all developed by folks who were white, that they are inherently a racist in that. And so what I think people get really confused when we talk about racism and often defensive is that they often look at racism based on an individual. So we're not talking here about individual acts of racism, because we may not see that. What we're looking at, though, is how is the system itself, the overarching structures and practices and procedures and policies, racist. And if anyone has heard of Dr. Ibram Kendi, he wrote a book that's based on critical race theory, and it's called How to Be an Anti-Racist. And in the book, he says that policies are never neutral, that nothing is neutral. It is either explicitly anti-racist or it's upholding white supremacy and therefore racist. So it's, I think folks get confused because they think that there's a middle ground of neutrality, and there's not. So that's the language that's going to be part of the plan, making sure folks understand that. We'll be working with the Equity Steering Committee.
So what she said was that any system built by white folks is inherently racist because it was built by white folks. How can an education system say that to a child? Any system that you build because of your skin color is inherently racist and therefore bad, upholding white supremacy. I don't know how any board could say that. Here's the Education Act, and I think that their use of critical race theory is in contravention. That means it goes against the Education Act. Here's Education Act 169.1. Every board shall, A1, promote a positive school climate that is inclusive and accepting of all pupils, including pupils of any race, ancestry, place of origin, color, ethnic origin, citizenship, creed, sex, sexual orientation, gender, identity, gender expression, age, marital status, family status, or disability. In saying that all white people are inherently racist and any systems that they build are inherently racist because of their skin color, and using that system, that theory, critical race theory, to build their policies and their plans, the Upper Grand District School Board is in contravention of the Education Act. Here is the Wikipedia definition of critical race theory. And that's my opinion. I believe that they're in contravention of the Education Act. I have contacted the superintendent in charge of inclusivity and equity. I have contacted Martha Rogers. I have contacted everybody I could possibly imagine. I've contacted school trustees. I sit on the FSLAC committee, which is the French language committee. I've contacted the board, the chair of trustees. Not one person has taken me seriously or listened to my concerns. The only thing that they've done is, well, they've responded to my email, so I guess that's something, but they've removed the original video. I don't know why they could have, I can't imagine why they would remove the original video. Okay, so here is the Wikipedia definition of critical race theory, and it says critical race theory recognizes that racism is ingrained in the fabric and system of the American society. The individual racist need not exist to note that institutional racism is pervasive in the dominant culture. This is the analytical lens that CRT uses in examining existing power structures. Critical race theory identifies that these power structures are based on white privilege and white supremacy, which perpetuates the marginalization of people of color. Critical race theory specifically blames white people for the marginalization of people of color, blames white people for racism, essentially. And I don't think I think that the use of this theory, blaming white people for racism, is tone deaf. It presupposes that there is no racism in other countries, that all other races are not racist, that white people are the only racists. It's a very, very strange theory, really, when you dig into it. I've read How to Be an Anti-Racist. This video is not in the scope of that, but here's the Britannica definition of critical race theory, because I don't want to just use one. Let's look at multiple definitions. And I've asked the school board, what definition are you using? They have not answered me. They still haven't answered me. I still don't know. They said that's pending. I'll reference there will be other videos to show you about that. And I'll show you where you can read about it if you're interested to skip ahead. However, here's Britannica on critical race theory. Critical race theory, the view that the law and legal institutions are inherently racist, and that race itself, instead of being biologically grounded and natural, is a socially constructed concept that is used by white people to further their economic and political interests at the expense of people of color. According to critical race theory, racial inequality emerges from the social, economic, and legal differences that white people create between races to maintain elite white interests in labor markets and politics, giving rise to poverty and criminality in many communities. So, here is a situation that, according to critical race theory, well, we'll watch it, and then I'll tell you what I think critical race theory would say about this. Here we go.
Dad, come here.
I was going to bring...
Yeah. So we've been fighting right now in this time in our country. We're doing this whole Black Lives Matter. Everyone's fighting, everyone's looting. This is my father. I was born in foster care. I didn't have a mother or a father. They gave me away. My father wasn't fit to be my father. This is my dad here, Jacob Benny. He's been there since the beginning. He's done everything. He laid his life down for me, and I lay his life down for him. I don't judge any man on the color of their skin, but the content of their character. We're here, we love. It doesn't matter what color it is. It's all about love. You can't beat hate with hate. You beat hate with love. So everyone out there, please stop fighting. Please come together. We can't beat it that way, with love.
I think fundamentally, if the person on the left did this for the person on the right for power reasons, or to propagate white elitism, elite white interests, or to what else? Hold on. According to critical race theory, race is a socially constructed concept that is used by white people to further their economic and political interests at the expense of people of color. Does that seem like that's true here? Does it seem like it's okay to say to an entire school board as policy that any system created by white people is inherently racist because it was created by white people? Is the skin color the thing that we should be focusing on instead of the content of our children's characters? Why is the Upper Grand District School Board using critical race theory to drive their policies? We use this one to drive their policies when critical race theory is inherently racist at base policy, or at base theory. Excuse me, it's not a policy. I tried to address this with the Upper Grand District School Board, and I got absolutely nowhere. They were not interested. I'm going to do 5 more videos at least looking at talking with the superintendent of education, looking at talking with Martha Rogers, the lead of education, the education lead at the Upper Grand Board, looking at talking with the chair of the board of trustees, and looking at talking with a specific trustee who decided that when I reached out for help to ask the trustees to help me address this issue with the Upper Grand District School Board, to articulate my concerns clearly to the correct people, what that trustee did was email the other trustees and actively lied about me to undermine my credibility to the other trustees. It is incredible that the reason I'm releasing this, just to underline this, two things to finish off. The reason I'm releasing this is because they're not going to address this issue. They have no interest in addressing this issue. And number two is I have no interest in white supremacy. I believe that instead of being judged by your skin color, you should be judged by your actions and who you are. And your actions and who you are can speak much louder than your skin color. I don't understand why the Upper Grand District School Board is now focusing 110% on skin color and using a racist theory. It's very, very concerning. And well, I hope that this case study, this multi-video special series, helps somebody understand what kind of monster you're going up against. Because when you try to address issues like this, even if they're legitimate, well, you can't even get somebody to meaningfully engage with you and explain to you how this hasn't even been questioned. How did not one single trustee stand up and say, wait a second, any system built by white people is inherently racist because it was built by white people? If you replace white with any other race, that person isn't coming to work on Monday. So I'm not sure why the trustees are applying. If you listen to the end of this, and this is the full meeting, the June 16th meeting, if you listen to the end of this, all of the trustees are giving, absolute adoration to all the staff members of the Upper Grand District School Board, the staff members who are making racist comments about white people and how any system that white people create is inherently racist because of their skin color, right? How could you say that to a child? How could you say, here's your project, Timmy or Josh, right? Or Mark. Please do your best, but understand that anything that you produce is inherently racist because of your skin color. Thanks, Timmy. Have a good day. See you later. How could you? I often say, how dare you, in Greta eyes, right? But honestly, in this situation, how dare you, Upper Grand District School Board? How dare you? Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out the next 4 videos. I can't wait to do them, and I'm going to do them as quickly as possible. I'm not sure if I'm going to release this all at once or one at a time. We'll see, but stay tuned. There are at least 4 more videos to come. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.